I gave you fair warning, Hoskins.
Warning, Captain?
Twice, and you've taken no heed.
I don't know what you're talking about, Captain.
Maybe this will revive your memory.
You're too free with your fists, Captain Baines.
Giving him a taste of his own medicine, sir.
You must learn to control that temper of yours.
Hoskins has a down on one of the apprentices, sir. Well, that doesn't complain to me, but I got eyes in my head. Hoskins cuffs and kicks him at the least excuse.
Now you hope to mend the situation by proving to Hoskins that you can throw a heavier knuckle than he does, eh?
The only language some of them understand.
Well, I never had to bruise my knuckles to see that my orders was carried out. As master of the ship, you will kindly assert your authority by the strength of your mind, not by the weight of your fists.
Most owners place a high value on a master with a hard pair of fists.
Then you'd better find such an owner, hadn't you?
You know that when he sets sail with his ship and crew, he never knows what's going to happen. When he sets his course and he knows his destination, he's made up his mind this trip's going to be like any other. But the minds of men are as unpredictable as the weather, sir. I know many a master who might have had a mutiny on his hands were not the fact that each and every member of his crew has a healthy respect for the measure of his shoulders.
In certain unusual circumstances, it may become necessary to bruise a man's face, but that must only serve to remind that master that he has failed to assert his authority by more superior means.
Well, that be all, sir. I've got an urgent appointment ashore.
Not with another owner, I hope.
Morning, Mr. Onedin. Captain Bates.
Morning, ma'am.
Oh, Captain Bates, is my recommendation a good one?
I shall know directly. I'm on my way there now.
Poor Captain Baines. The ceiling in his room was leaking and the landlord refused to have it repaired. I went round yesterday to take a look at the room and the man hurled abuse at me. Captain Baines said that is no way in which to address a lady and...
I promptly broke the landlord's nose.
Simply a cut over the man's eye. But I'm afraid it didn't help matters. Now Captain Baines has to look for other accommodation. It's a good thing, too, how he put up with living in those dreadful conditions.
Oh, come, we weren't all brought up with
a silver spoon in our mouths. Yes, I do realize that. But surely everyone should continually struggle to better his condition.
Oh, and you have better Captain Baines's condition by having him thrown out in the street?
I must say it was rather gallant of Captain Baines to defend me like that.
Oh, you needed defending, did you?
Certainly not. But being a defenseless woman now and then is a luxury one shouldn't deny oneself. And for such a situation, Captain Baines is perfection itself. No messy scuffling and brawling, just one clean fist. And it's over and done with.
Captain Baines informs me that you wish to sail with us to Havana.
Yes. I am to meet my late husband's business partner there. He has some important matters he wishes to discuss.
Yes, I gather your husband was a very successful businessman.
Yes, indeed he was. He was concerned not only in railroads. He had fingers in various pies all over the world. Consequently, I saw little of him during our 3 years of marriage.
Forgive my curiosity.
Oh, of course. What would you like to know about my late husband?
No, not your husband, Captain Baines. To whom or what did you recommend him?
Good morning, Mrs. Darling.
Yes?
If I may introduce myself, Captain Baines. I understand you have a vacancy for a lodger.
Yes, I do. And then again, I do not. Would you come in, please?
Thank you.
Through there.
Yeah.
Well, now, Captain, the position is this. My last lodger left rather suddenly last week, and since that time I've had no less than 5 applicants. If I might inquire who...
Oh, Mrs. Caroline Maudsley.
would you sit down, Captain...
Baines. W. Baines.
W?
Yeah, William.
Are you what they term a drinking man, Captain Baines?
Oh, I like a noggin now and then to keep the damp out. I needed it my last lodgings, too, I can tell you. Oh, I know what you call a drinking man, ma'am. No.
What time do you normally retire?
Well, let's see.
You see, when one is alone in the house, one likes to know that the doors are securely bolted before one retires.
Alone, did you say?
When my brother is away at sea, that is.
Oh, but I understood that you were...
My husband died 3 years ago. Lost at sea.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. Captain William Darley.
You knew him?
Oh, I never sailed with him, ma'am, but a highly respected master, as I understand.
Indeed, he was highly respected by all who knew him. A fine man. And a perfect husband to me. You're a big man, Captain.
Oh, yeah. You might say a diet of salt beef and cracker ash hasn't done my constitution that much harm.
My William was a big man. Are you a fighting man, Captain?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. I think a master should command his crew by more superior means, by strength of his own character. Oh, no, I'm not a believer in the law of the fist, man. I'm a quiet man myself. See, there's nothing I like better than being tucked away in my bunk with a good book. I'm seldom to be found without a volume on my person.
It was always my William's boast that he could lick each and every member of his crew. A boast that was not an idle one, believe me.
The hero of the Singapore Maid.
He and his mate took on a crew of 17 men, including a brute of a boatswain.
And quelled a mutiny.
As my brother Tom says, we'll never see his like in Liverpool again.
Well,
You hurt your hand?
oh, well, as I say, I'm a quiet man myself, but I'll not turn the other cheek or fail to chastise a man with a fist or two if the occasion demands it.
I see. Is that you, Tom?
Yes, Nancy. They were all glued up on that Fraser ship.
This is my brother, Tom Ballantyne, Captain Baines. Captain Baines is going to be our new lodger. Tom's looking for a ship, has been for the past 2 months.
Ordinary seaman, eh?
Able seaman and a very good cook.
Oh, a cook, eh?
Our father was cook at the Royal Hotel. We both take after him.
Well, our stomachs are in sore need of an expert hand in the galley.
You left these on the kitchen table.
Thank you, ma'am. I was just looking at the frame. Nice and strong.
Is everything to your liking?
Oh, yeah. Nice ceiling, too. My last lodgings, I might as well be sleeping in the forecastle.
I moved the bed back to where it was before Mr. Parsons came.
Mr. Parsons?
Our last lodger.
Oh, he left suddenly last week, you said.
He wanted to sleep with his head next to that wall because, well, I sleep with my head next to that wall.
Oh.
He was such a polite, quiet man. You wouldn't know you had a lodger in the house. And then, quite unexpectedly, last Monday, he came up behind me on the stairs and asked me to marry him. He flew into such a passion. I've never heard such words from the mouth of a man. You'd have thought I was the Queen of Sheba, the way he carried on. I'm sure such things couldn't have come from the man himself. He must have read them in books.
Oh, let me take those, ma'am.
Thank you. He was a draper's assistant. I had to tell him to leave, of course.
Oh, of course.
He tore those curtains down and the covers from my bed. He'd got the material for me at cost price, you see. I was terrified.
Oh, of course.
He was down on his knees in the kitchen, weeping like a child. And then he ran up here and refused to budge.
What happened?
I threw him into the street and his bags through that window. Dinner's ready.
Dinner is prepared, Captain Baines.
Thank you, ma'am.
So you'll have a chance to sample Tom's cooking before he sails with you.
Thank you.
Did you ever meet my sister's late husband?
No. No, I didn't.
He was a fine man. The finest I ever met. Well, one thing's for sure. My sister will never see his like again.
Allow me to thank you for escorting me.
In future, Miss Biddulph, I hope you won't be foolish enough to go walking along the quayside alone after dark.
Yes, it was foolish of me. I keep the house clean for Captain Onedin.
Aye, so I've heard. Good night, Miss Biddulph.
Good night. Captain Fogarty. I wouldn't want you to have the wrong impression of my visiting Captain Onedin.
Why you come here is none of my business.
Yes, I know, but it's my duty to
You
assure...
don't want to be the cause of any malicious gossip that might harm Mr. Onedin.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's one way of catching a man, I suppose.
But not mine. We're not all like Mrs. Fraser, you know.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean that.
You here to see me, Fogarty?
Oh, I just brought Miss Biddulph home. Good night, Miss Biddulph.
Home. No wonder everybody thinks it's your home. The amount of time that you spend here.
I didn't think you'd be here yet. I was to have your dinner prepared.
I take it you know that Captain Fogarty has a wife.
Of course I do.
Well, then, if you take my advice, you'll steer well clear of him.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand all too well the kind of man he is. In your own interests, stay away from him. You needn't bother cook for me tonight. I've already eaten.
You're sailing, then?
And normally I don't mind a bit. I get restless ashore, and I'm more than ready when it's time to sail, but this time I...
I'll keep your books well dusted.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a friend of mine. He's a fanatical horticulturist, and he grows more flowers than he knows what to do with, and he gives them to me, and sometimes I never know quite what to do. Here.
Thank you, Captain Baines. That's very kind of you.
One of the stems is broken. I'm sorry.
William always used to give me flowers. Thank you again, Captain Baines. Ah. Look after yourself, then. Watch out for the damp, and don't leave off your vest. You know how sensitive you are.
Don't fuss, Nancy. Goodbye, then.
Goodbye. Don't forget your cake. And I baked one for you, too, Captain Baines.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, then, to both of you, a safe voyage.
The space in the hold, I'd say we was 10 tons short.
I disagree, sir.
Did you know that the shipper's tallyman was drunk when we were loading?
I wouldn't know about that, sir.
But you knew there was a dispute about 4 wagon loads.
Well, the mate assured me that the 4 wagon loads were not short.
And I say they were. You, as master of the ship, should have seen that the bills of lading were signed 10 tons less in dispute.
And if on board to be delivered, I know that well enough, sir, but I insist we've a full cargo.
Go in. Well, we'll see who's right when we get to Havana. Oh, where's the steward?
A carving knife, sir.
Eh?
He cut 2 fingers rather badly, sir. I stemmed the bleeding, but I didn't want him serving food with a bloody bandage in the presence of a lady.
Right, I understand, Valentine.
It smells even more delicious than yesterday's lunch.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, just you did well hiring that man, Baines, eh?
Seems I did, sir.
Reef the topsail.
Reach the topsail.
Mr. Onedin, Captain Baines is unwell.
Oh, dear. My stomach, sir. Most terrible pain.
Oh, he's not that hot. I doubt if you have a fever.
Better stay in your book, then, eh?
No, but I'm required on deck, sir.
No, leave it to me.
Oh, well, it's not too bad, sir.
Do as you're told, Captain Baines.
Seems our new cook's food is a bit too good, eh? Now we're suffering from indigestion.
Well, this isn't on a captain. In my experience, captains rarely come down to the galley unless they're cause to complain. And I'm proud to say I've never given them cause. Oh, you haven't got a complaint to make, have you, Captain?
And a little tale to tell you, Valentine.
I tell you that. Well, I've work to do while you're telling me, Captain. They'll watch me want their coffee and have lunch to get ready.
Well, I knew a cook once held a long hatred for a particular bosun.
Now, why was that?
Well, no reason was ever given. Perhaps only the Almighty knew that. But this bosun, he started to suffer with the most mysterious pains in his stomach.
Mysterious pains, Captain.
The captain wasn't noted for his medical knowledge.
Oh, how many of them are? Still, they have a medical dictionary with a nice wide variety of terms, and they're never really lost for a diagnosis.
You're a lot more talkative at sea than you are ashore, aren't you?
Oh, that's another one for the Almighty to explain, eh, Captain? Or maybe it's the effects of the cook's privileged bottle of whiskey. Well, you're not going to find me for that, are you, Captain? I mean, one top, that's all I had.
Well, this bosun I spoke of, he was buried at sea, so they never did find out what he died of.
You mean the captain didn't enter the illness in the log?
Oh, he entered what he considered it to be.
Oh, I thought he must have done. Well, it looks much neater than cause of death unknown, and it gives the owners more confidence in the masters.
Well, 2 years later, the cook confessed. He'd been poisoning the bosun slowly over 2 months of the voyage.
You wouldn't mind telling me where all this is leading, Captain, unless you care to forgo the sauce in your pork. Coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Oh, sorry, you were saying, Captain.
Yeah, well, how's the steward's finger?
Oh, it's healed nicely, thank you, Captain. A clean bandage, and he'll be fit to wait on table again. Save my legs a bit.
Yeah.
Captain.
Yeah?
What was the point of that little tale?
I haven't got the measure of you yet, Valentine.
Oh, I'm a simple man, Captain.
Then maybe you'll tell me in simple terms what it is you hold against me.
Captain Darling was a fine man.
And now he's a dead one. Let's talk about the living like you and me.
When he died, my sister Nancy made up her mind she'd never marry again.
Women are noted for changing their minds.
Not my sister Nancy. There's no likelihood of her ever meeting up with Captain Darling's equal. He could lick any man in Liverpool. He even licked me.
Oh, you fancy yourself with your fists, eh?
I used to fight for prizes, but since I acquired something of a reputation...
Nobody would take you on, eh?
That's about the gist of it, Captain, yeah. Oh, Captain, if any man took it in his mind to make a proposal of marriage to my sister, he'd have to reckon with me first.
Miss Biddulph,
May I come in?
what's that maid doing allowing you below unannounced?
Well, that's quite all right. I said you were expecting me.
You said what?
And don't concern yourself with my walking unaccompanied on the quayside again. The coachman escorted me all the way down. Is it the companionway you call it?
Now, look here, Miss Biddulph.
Biddulph. Aren't you going to ask me to sit down?
Miss Biddulph, are you in the habit of invading men's privacy?
I came to thank you for escorting me to Mr. Onedin's home the other evening.
You thanked me well enough at the time. Now, look. Mr. Onedin may be foolish enough to suffer you coming and going to his house as you please, but I'll not have it aboard my ship.
I really came to crave your pardon for that awful remark I made about Mrs. Fraser. It was unforgivable of me.
Why have you come here?
I should have realized that you... well, that you have a certain regard for Mrs. Fraser.
I have more than a certain regard for her. We were to be married once before she met Albert Fraser. And now would you kindly leave? I've work to do.
The master's cabin. The perfect retreat. Cloistered from the wiles of women. You know, James... Mr. Onedin, that is. He was very angry when he found us together the other evening.
So you wanted to be seen coming here, eh? You thought to use me in order to... You silly little... Kindly get off my ship, Miss Biddulph, and don't come back again or I might.
Very well, Captain Fogarty, if you'll allow me to pass.
On the other hand, it isn't every day that a beautiful young girl comes into a master's cabin and offers to...
Very well. Good day, Captain Fogarty.
I'll tell you something, Miss Biddulph. I've little time for Mr. Onedin, and why anyone should want to marry him is beyond me. But if that's what you want, You'll have to stop behaving like a silly little girl and grow up.
Really, Captain Baines, I find that rather hard to believe.
So do I, ma'am, but that's the truth of it. Tom Ballantyne seems to think that if I can lick him, I'm a fit man to make a proposal of marriage to his sister.
You're intending a proposal of marriage, then, Captain
The
Baines?
man is downright peculiar. He seems to think that every lodger they have at that house is intent on marrying his sister. And it's incumbent upon himself to prove us all unworthy of her.
Well, I suppose any man who can cook that well must be a trifle odd.
Odd's hardly the word for both him and his sister. I mean, they've Romania for testing a man. She even gave me a set of questions for my lodgership, and now her brother. I'm beginning to wish I'd never set foot in Mrs. Darling.
Oh, dear, and it was I who recommended her to you.
Oh, it's not your fault, ma'am. You weren't to know what a peculiar pair they are.
Oh, she is a pleasant woman.
I admit that. Most pleasant in some ways. But buying a bunch of flowers for a woman doesn't commit you to chaining yourself down for the rest of your life. Oh, no. I know what a woman can do to a man.
Meaning Mrs. Onedin.
No, that's not what I meant. Mrs. Onedin was a very fine woman. A woman any man would gladly be chained to. The hardest thing that a woman like that can do to a man is to die. And if Tom Ballantyne continues to provoke me into proving my worthiness, he'll sail into Liverpool with his front teeth missing.
Front teeth missing.
Oh, I was just explaining to Mrs. Mosley the nasty effects of scurvy.
Yeah, now get on with you.
Excuse me.
Trust you're not urging our hero on to further acts of gallantry on your behalf.
I understand your desire to reform his rough and ready ways, but that man is being unduly provoked by Tom Ballantyne.
Oh, Baines certainly has a way of getting the women on his side.
So she used to take Captain Baines's part, did she?
Look, must you go against me in everything, just out of plain contrariness?
Go against you.
Huh?
You have a high and mighty opinion of yourself if you think I spend my waking hours studiedly going in the opposite direction from James Onedin. Oh, she's a fine woman. A woman any man would gladly be chained to. Will I never stop hearing about that woman? And how much you are suffering at the loss of her? I lost my husband. He was murdered before my eyes. But no one ever asks about how I might be feeling or how much I'm suffering at his loss. That was ungracious of me, considering I owe my life to you.
Oh, come. All I did was to pick you up out of the sea. I'd have done the same for a dog.
Oh, you do say the most charming things to a woman.
Oh, and I suppose your husband was the most charming and elegant man.
Yes, he was.
Well, surely he too must have had some faults.
Well, if so, I never had the opportunity of learning them. As I knew him, he was virtuous, courageous, and scrupulously honest. And he had a most remarkable judgment. I never knew him to be wrong in his assessment of anything or anyone, in business or in private life.
Mrs. Fraser, what's this I hear about you visiting Daniel Fogarty aboard his ship?
Yes, it's true, I did.
So you admit it.
Yes, I do.
You are aware that he has a wife.
Of course I am.
Tongues are wagging.
Indeed.
Well, if you've no consideration for his wife, at least have a mind to your own reputation.
I am most grateful, Mrs. Fraser, for your concern on my behalf.
Stay away from Daniel.
Your brother has already advised me on that. Tell me, is Captain Fogarty Onedin property?
There are matters you do not understand.
Then perhaps you'd better enlighten me.
It's none of your business. Just stay away from Daniel.
Tons shot.
You estimated 10 tons.
An underestimation on my part.
To be able to assess such a small discrepancy in such a vast amount of coal, it is quite remarkable. You not think so, Captain Baines?
Well, I've always respected Mr. Onedin's judgment, and I admit I'm the man responsible for the loss of the 13 tons. I should have been more watchful when they were loading in Liverpool.
Well, no doubt your mind was elsewhere on that particular day.
You referring to Mrs. Darling?
Mrs. Darling?
Well, Tom Ballantyne thinks it's my intention to... That's my business. I'll make up my own mind, thank you. I don't need to have it made up for me.
Ah.
Soup of my own invention, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, Ballantyne.
A favourite with most of the masters I've sailed with. I hope it's to your taste.
Steward cut another finger.
Oh, if you'll remember, Captain, you instructed him to lend a hand with the unloading of the coal. He's not got a strong back, poor lad, and is in great pain, and could hardly serve table in his present bent condition. Thank you.
Lost your appetite, Captain Baines?
Get those hatch covers up there!
I want to speak to you. And don't look so innocent. You know well enough why I'm here.
What's that maid
No
do?
doubt your mate is accustomed to women coming and going to your cabin as they please.
Oh, Miss Biddulph.
The young hussy. She knows you have a wife.
Have I?
Oh, so that's how you ensnared her. My wife is no wife to me, Miss Biddulph. Please take pity on a poor, lonely sea captain. Have you no sense of shame?
I thought you were going to say that.
The same words were said to me so many times when I was expecting your child. The child conceived in a ship's cabin, and now I find that this Biddulph woman has been visiting you here.
On one occasion, that's all.
Once is enough. At least it was for me. Defiling an innocent young girl.
Well, only a moment ago, she was a hussy.
And all you can do is smile.
I smile because her reasons for coming here have not resulted in the reaction she intended, or should I say, not from the intended quarter.
I wish you'd lose that irritating habit of talking in pretentious riddles.
Well, I'll put it simply. Miss Biddulph came here because she wanted
Did
to know
you
if I...
make this?
Yes.
It's beautiful. I had no idea you did this sort of thing.
Well, I don't. That is, I thought I'd try my hand at it. The carpenter, he made one for his lad, so I thought...
It's for William, then.
Yes. Now, Miss Biddulph came here because she was...
hang Miss Biddulph.
Don't you want to know why she came here?
I know you, Daniel. That's quite enough for me.
I'm not sure I understand you.
Well, no man likes to think of himself as being solid, dependable, and virtuous. Makes him so dull. When will you give it to him?
Hmm?
The model.
When do you suggest would be a convenient time for me to call?
How very formal.
I'm just trying to live up to your opinion of me.
Poor Daniel, I hurt you just then, didn't I?
That was your intention, was it not?
I must go.
So I must beg you to stay.
You are so conceited, Daniel.
Oh,
Fogarty.
come now, Elizabeth. Don't blemish the list of virtues you just endowed me with.
A hollow, pretentious man stuffed with his own unimportance.
Excellent, Elizabeth. You know, you'd have done well for yourself on the stage.
I hate you, Daniel Fogarty.
Well, here you on the quayside, Elizabeth. Then what will become of my solid, dependable character?
I hate you.
The last time, what did you put in my food?
If you're feeling unwell in the stomach, Captain, then I can give you something which will take away your discomfort.
Oh, no doubt you can. Something to send me to the bottom of the...
Ah! If you've any accusations to make, Captain, we'd better talk to Mr. Onedin.
You realize, Captain Baines, that as Ballantyne says, this is a very serious accusation.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, firstly, then, what makes you think Ballantyne would do such a thing?
Well, he doesn't want me to marry his sister.
Oh, as I see.
I can only say, sir, that my sister has no intention of marrying anyone. So why shall I go to such terrible lengths? If I might be permitted, sir.
Oh, yes, Valentine.
With due respect, Captain, you're not a young man. You've had many years at sea, and
I know what you're going to say, the conditions of the food. Well, there's been nothing wrong with my stomach before this.
if you'll pardon my saying, Captain, there's a first time for everything.
Now listen to the ears!
I think you wish to see the helmsman.
Oh, yes, sir.
I understand that you're Captain Darling's brother-in-law.
Oh, that I am, sir.
Fine master.
The finest any man ever sailed with.
He once broke one of my ribs in the proving of it.
He commanded respect from everyone but William Darling.
Yes, while his fists were flying. But I wonder how many sailors, including myself, couldn't resist a little sigh of relief when they heard the sad news of his drowning. It's possible that you couldn't resist a little sigh yourself, Valentine.
I'd like your permission, Mr. Onedin, to kill a chicken or two for tomorrow's dinner.
Oh, now, that's a request for the captain. You know that, Valentine.
Aye, aye, sir. Oh, your card.
Valentine?
So, Baines to marry, you say, eh? No. If ever I knew a confirmed bachelor,
Now,
Captain
I think
Baines
he
was
has a genuine affection for the woman.
Baines just can't resist a challenge. Valentine says to him, you cannot marry my sister, so Baines says, oh, yes, I can.
No.
Go, come, allow me to know my own masters.
Oh, well, perhaps you're right. But the true challenge comes not from Tom Valentine. It comes from Captain Darling. And dead opponents aren't as easy to fight. Well, I suppose the only way to prove which one of us is right is for Baines to lick Valentine. Then he'll be free to make up his own mind. I know you have given him express instructions not to brawl with members of his crew.
Well, it's degrading for a master to do so.
But not degrading for a master to be subtly taunted and to remain powerless to fight back.
Mr. Onedin told me to request your permission, Captain,
For what, Valentine?
to kill 2 chickens, Captain.
Chickens, eh?
It's come to my ears that my soup doesn't seem to agree with your stomach, and I thought chickens might be appropriate.
Appropriate?
Chickens.
I'll see the chickens for myself, Valentine. Now, Valentine, we'll have our cards on the deck. You want to fight between us, but to what purpose? You win or I win. I don't see what difference that makes to whether I ask your sister or no.
I'd lick you with the right hand lashed to the mainmast.
And then you go back and tell her how you did it, eh? Then she'd have nothing more to do with me, is that it? Well, it's a queer way for a woman to choose the man she'll marry. Or maybe she has no choice in the matter, is that it? Well, come on, speak up, man.
You know you haven't a chance of licking me, Captain. That's why you're hiding behind Mr. Onedin's orders.
Captain Baines, I'd like your opinion.
On what?
Well, I know most shipping lines like to provide some light entertainment for the relaxation of the sailors' minds and bodies.
Mrs. Maudsley was only saying that yesterday, sir.
Aye, well, she's just been saying it all over again to me. In my opinion, that kind of thing leads to a slack ship. However, for the sake of our lady passenger, can you suggest anything along the line?
Oh. Taffy Wells plays the mouth organ, sir? And, well, I could read aloud a poem or two, sir.
Mrs. Maudsley's suggestion was of a more lively nature, you might say.
Like what, sir?
A prize fight. Can you suggest 2 possible contestants?
Well, Valentine here, he is a prize fighter, sir.
Yes, so I've heard. Well, Valentine?
Only too willing to oblige the lady, Mr. Onedin. But I doubt if there's another man on board willing to take his chances with me.
Your reputation.
Yes, I'd offer to tie one hand behind my back, but,
But that wouldn't help, eh?
I doubt it, sir.
Shame. Well, Mrs. Maudsley will be disappointed that her ideas of entertainment of the crew all came to nothing.
Mr. Onedin, sir. Rather than ignore the lady's suggestion, I'll put up my fist with Ballantyne here.
Thank you, Captain. A generous act on the master's part, wouldn't you say?
Generous.
Ah, well, he puts his authority in jeopardy if he loses. By exposing himself to the ridicule of the crew.
Then he has good reason to see me stressed on the deck. And that's in his favor, is it not?
Oh, well, of course, this is only sport to you for the amusement of your fellow shipmates, isn't it?
I'd say that the generous man in this affair, sir, was you. Considering what you've just done for Captain Baines, spiting your orders to the contrary.
Certainly know there are people to bow and smile to, don't you, Ballantyne?
Understand this, sir. My sister Nancy's a good woman, with a clean, comfortable home of her own.
Oh, so she owns the home.
Aye. It was Captain Darling's. And my sister and the house are a good catch for any voyage-weary sailor who happens her way.
Yes, well, I appreciate your burden, Ballantyne.
Oh, don't fret on my account, sir. I have the shoulders for the carrying of it.
Well, tomorrow you'll be able to prove it. We stop off at San Miguel for fresh water. Ideal place for such entertainment.
I'll try to make it as entertaining as I possibly can for the lady passengers, sir.
You know, you're quite right, Ballantyne. After a hard voyage, most sailors look forward to a neat, comfortable home to come back to. Maybe even you, eh? Not another one of your inventions, I hope.
Oh, that's not for consumption.
What is it?
A mixture of turpentine, saltpeter, vinegar, and bay salt.
What's it doing here in the galley?
It's for pickling, sir.
Pickling. Saltpeter and turpentine.
Heads are hard, so hands have to be harder.
I brought the ship for William.
Oh, pity. He's spending the day with his grandfather.
His grandfather. Well, if you'll tell him I left it for him.
I suppose I should apologize to you for my rather unseemly departure from your cabin the other day.
Well, there's no need. Did no harm. Well, quite the opposite. Since both you and Miss Biddulph came to my cabin, my mate has a new and profound respect for me as a lady killer.
It'll not work a second time.
I beg your pardon.
You'll not rile me again, Daniel.
Oh, forgive me, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure I've learned from you. Elizabeth. Every time we meet, we're like two birds in separate cages, fluttering and pecking as if the cages themselves weren't enough to keep us apart.
You make pretty speeches for a seaman.
You ever thought what it would have been like if we had married, you and I?
No, I haven't. But, on consideration, you'd have bored me to distraction.
You'd have sent me to the madhouse with your whims and fickle ways.
There we are, then. Now we've opened our hearts to each other. I'll tell William you made the model with your own clever hands. Though I must say he's not all that fond of ships.
A lad, neither was I. And even now. I'd give up the sea, Elizabeth. Leave Liverpool, go anywhere, do anything if you'll come with me.
You've a wife.
Who keeps me from her bed, and you've a husband who'll never come back to you. Come with me, Elizabeth.
There's William to consider.
We'll take him with us, our son.
Oh, it's madness even to think of it.
Also, everything contrives to bring us together, don't you see
No,
that?
Daniel.
Why do you always say no when you mean yes?
I mean no. Do you really think I'd give up my life here and go away with you?
Your life here? What life? You're alone and...
Go away with you to what? What have you to offer me? Give up the sea, and what would you do to keep us fed and clothed? Make model ships?
Sailmakers made a good job of these at such short notice.
We are going according to Queensberry rules, I take it.
Yes, indeed, Ballantyne. Now, Captain Baines, you are acquainted with the rules?
On the deck till the count of 10 is a loser. That's all I know, sir.
No wrestling or butting with the head.
Rules or no rules, that's not my way of fighting anyway.
How many rounds, sir?
Oh, I think 3 should be time enough, eh?
Indeed so, sir.
Now, you part when I shout time. Go to your corners. Well, good luck, gentlemen. May the best man win. If what you say about Captain Baines is correct, it should be very short entertainment. One punch, and it's all over.
I
I have every faith in Captain Baines's right hand.
Wouldn't care to put a wager on that, would you?
Yes, I would. But not with you. As referee, it might influence your judgment.
Right. Time.
Get in there. If you'd only stand still, sir, I'd knock him from here to Liverpool Bay. But I'm not done yet, not till I'm on that deck for a count of 10.
Hard fists, that Valentine, eh?
Like iron, sir.
Saltpeter and turpentine. In a pot. In the galley. Got him to chuck it over the side, of course. If that were to get into a man's food now... Understand? Time. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well done, Benny. Well, lads, I declare Captain Baines the winner.
Well, there we are, Captain Baines. Now you are free to make up your own mind.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Or perhaps you've already made it up.
Wind's freshening.
I'll go up and shorten sail, sir.
I suspect you're right, yet again, Mr. Onedin. Now, Captain Baines has answered that challenge. He seems to have lost all interest in Nancy Darling.
No, Mrs. Bosley. For once, I must bow to your judgment.
You think Captain Baines truly intends a proposal of marriage?
Seems he bought a ring while in Havana.
Well, the sly dog.
$10.75. If that's not a gesture of true intent, I don't know what is. But I've neglected to ask you. Was your business ashore successfully conducted?
Yes. Yes, it was.
What?
I'm afraid I discovered one or two things about my late husband that I was not aware of.
I see.
It seems that he was not as scrupulously honest as I had imagined him to be. And on learning some of the quite drastic mistakes he made, it seems his judgment left a lot to be desired. I think I knew it all along. I suppose one tends to idealize one's memories of the dead.
Aye. One does. Mrs. Mosley, would you care for a drink of sherry?
Thank you, Mr. Onedin.
Oh, well. Here's to your very good health, Mrs. Would you think it highly improper of me if I was to call you Caroline?
Not at all, Mr. Onedin.
Right then. You're very good health, Caroline.
And yours, James.
Captain Baines, did you have a good voyage?
Aye, Mum, I did.
Uneventful, my brother says.
Aye, uneventful.
Was I not right about his cooking?
Indeed you were, Mum.
He can be a strange boy at times.
Mrs. Darling, while I've been away, I've been doing a bit of serious thinking.
You see, both our parents were killed in the big fire at the Royal Hotel, and ever since that time, he has quite naturally turned to me.
Oh, I've always lived my life my own way, you see, looked after myself, taken care of my own troubles. But as I said, whilst I've been away, I've been doing a bit of serious thinking, and I've come to a big decision. Mrs. Darling, I want to ask you...
Excuse me. Captain Baines, this is Mr. Parsons.
Pleased to meet you.
I believe I mentioned him to you.
Did you?
He was lodging here before you came.
Oh, aye.
Mr. Parsons and I are going to be married. So I know you'll understand the situation and look for other accommodation as soon as possible.